Well, hello, welcome to today's status chat. Something I've been following. Of course, we've been busy with the election and people get very political during those times. And I wanted to see which direction we were going to go as kind of a nation. Are we going um, more conservative, which some of these people out there were far fringe? You're going to have fringe on each side. But the question is, where were we going to go kind of as a state? We had essentially the party primary for one group, and I was happy to see that we rejected the fringe and kind of went toward the middle. The most logical thing to do is to be in the middle where most people are. You've seen the Gaussian curves that are kind of shaped like this at the end, and there's a tiny end on both sides. This is where the loudest noise comes from. Now, we had ours on one side and we had the Democratic Socialist on the other, which they were already in blue cities. And Nashville has a problem growing increasingly blue. They've been blue for a long time, but the fringe is beginning to take on there. And I'll show you something today that the intelligent person may want to consider before making the decision to do business in an area like this, because other places have the head start. And they're getting there first, and just like that curve, you go up and then you come down again. And so what I want to talk about is behind me here. Let's see if I can kick the right scene off. There we go. WKRN. This has to do with the poisoning through outside nations trying to kill our data infrastructure. They're trying to find somewhere that they can dominate over us, and they give us the same kind of misinformation they did with the Huawei and 3G, because 5G was going to kill everybody. And you see all the youthful idiots on the social media were sending out the same picture of a palm tree that had been sprayed with a herbicide to kill it down because it was in violation of being in that same spot anyway, from where that protected tower spot was. They were killing off us. See, no, it was 5G, and they just give you the bad information. People believe it. Now, with the advancement of some of the AIs and the deep fakes, by the way, Tennessee has a deep fake law. You don't have to kill the tree. You don't even have to be a tree there to do this. So, but it's kind of the poison pill of a particular place. And when it gets down to it, the reason I mentioned Democratic Socialists is they recently took a couple of big losses, but they had a few wins, and it was like this was going to be a new thing. But part of their platform is to end all private property. So if you know you have a business opportunity in a location where this type of mentality is going, it's going to affect you in the long run, because at some point in time they're going to target you to pay their bills. And we already see high tax rates in the area. We already see people moving out. Fortunately, though, we're having people move into the Metro Davidson County, but they're moving from other places for even more radical places into our area. And they're replacing, to the positive effect, so we still have numbers of people coming in, the ones that are moving to the outside. I talked for years about the onion. We're like rings. We're going out rings in the tree. So we're doing that. But here's the deal with this is, Metro, they wanted the property. They decided after the fact they want the property. $23 million the company paid for this property, legally and properly. Nothing was done in a vacuum. And then some of the people, Fast Freddy, decided he wanted that property. And so they started a whole controversy that's kind of ruling nationwide to break these data centers. Now, you may not want one in my neighborhood, but I'd rather have it in my neighborhood as a landfill. I'd rather have it as an amusement park. I'd rather have a data center than a bar or a weed farm or something. There are a lot of things, or a junkyard. There's a lot of things. They're basically a big box of compute that, takes quite a bit of power to run all this stuff. That's a fact. But they're making this big deal about how much water they use, and there's some lies and disinformation. They may use a cooling tower, but there's the same technology that we use in hotels and motels. We sure ain't stopping building no high-rises, are we, that use these type of coolers. It's just an evaporative cooling effect, and that's what the water is. It comes off, it sprays up there, it evaporates all like a swamp cooler. It's secondary cooling. And that's been around for decades, so we haven't really done anything new there. But the big move was fast Freddy the Democrats move to pass a means ordinance to condemn the property, to take it over by eminent domain, which is fine, I guess, if it were for the betterment, for the general good. It's not, though. It's just political good. It's for power and money, and somebody wants that property. So now they're going to take it from them. Now this is about the company DC Blocks sues Nashville because what they're doing is patently communistic. It's not legal, and they're just doing anything they can to delay the project and to stop it from coming on. And remember, it's a data center doesn't just do AI. It does all kinds of things, records keeping, your doctor, banking records. This is basically what the cloud is, are these data centers. And everybody's happy to have stuff in the cloud, but they don't know what the hell cloud, I almost said something, the heck the cloud is. And that's what they're doing. They're going to run out of space if they don't expand. Now, I hate what it's doing to the price of chips and processors, graphic processors. But what they've decided to do, see if I got it. Where's my story? Hold on, let me back up one. Read today's story. Here's one. The complaint. See, this is the problem. What Metro's done is they passed this moratorium, and they passed the idea to steal the property after it was already bought, paid for, and under its way to be developed, and had approval from the codes. And there's a council member out there, and I'll get that for you. Let me put you on hold. Here she is, Courtney Johnson. And what she has said is she's going to do everything. It doesn't matter what the facts are. They're going to do everything they can to stop this project. And the problem with that is it violates the law, violates civil rights, violates everything. And that's what I think we find this is about. Because it was already done and proven, she's trying to make something retroactive to block something that was legal and proper when they did it, when they bought this. As a part of Metro's relentless effort to prohibit DC Block's lawful and vested use of its property, because it owns the property, as a data center, Metro Council of Davidson County, the council, adopted ordinance, this one right here, data center moratorium, which imposes a blanket prohibition on the acceptance, processing, approval, and issuance of zoning, building, grading permits, and related administrative appeals for data center developments within the jurisdiction's boundary. The data center moratorium was signed by the mayor, Exhibit A. So they're just picking winners and losers like the people who abuse power always do. Now think about this. What do you do? What if they decided, maybe you a gym bro and you want to start out a health thing, you want to do a health club, and it's not like you're selling alcohol or have an adult bookstore down the just down the way across the street from elementary school. No. It's a legal thing when you do it. You can pursue your goals. You want to set your business, and then the government comes back in and then targets you personally to disrupt your plans. It's their money, their plans. If they have the resources, they need to find something other than I just don't like it, or because my political constituency don't like it. But this is something you really need to do some investigation. You cannot exclude the political environment of where you plan on living or doing business. You just can't do it. And people say don't be political, but it's just reality. And here, for years, the challenging zone changes. See, the whole thing is zoning. They pick and choose what they want. Sometimes if they get a hint something's coming, people in power will often abuse power, and they'll lock a thing out by changing zoning before they can get the paperwork in. But that's not what happened with DC Blocks. They did it. They followed the rules. They got it working. And then you've got this person like this, Courtney Johnson, trying deliberately to stop a lawful and legal project. That's an abuse of power. Now, when you add that to the constant momentum further and further left, gained evidence by the communists who won recent elections in even bluer areas, who say, yes, we want to defund everything. We want to rip down how our government works. Have a head dude in charge. I think one of the people, I don't know that it's actually going anywhere, but head dude in charge, head honcho in charge. I'm sorry, I misquote her. But when they look at it and they say, our goal is to seize all the means of production and take all private property away from you, it will start with this kind of abuse. So anyway, that's my little thing. It is what it is. You have to use your head when you're going to do a project. You have to forecast. You do your study. And gosh, I mean, that's hard enough job. That's a big enough job without people fighting against you, without your own government fighting against you. What they did was legal. I hope DC Blocks wins. Because first of all, I think they wouldn't be a bad neighbor. If they want, I'd sell them some of that hill back there and they could build one behind me. Wouldn't bother me a bit. Because it's not like a bar where you have drunk people and woohoo girls or a wedding barn or something like that going on where it's a public nuisance. No, it's just a box. A box with lots of fans, and it does take a lot of power. But it does a lot of good for our people. It helps, with our diagnostics at our hospitals and things of that nature, record keeping. It's just a box. It's neither good nor bad. It depends on how it's used. So that's it. That's today's show.